Hi everybody, this is John from Old John's Vlogs. I thought I'd give you a bit of a gardening tip I've sorted out. It's September, children have gone back to school and it's a time to get jobs done if you can before the weather turns foul. Ideally, painting outside wants to be done in August, I would say, before it starts getting damp on a morning and damp on a night. And you have to pick your days when you can do it, because it may take all day to dry out, or indeed in some cases 4 hours to do paint. Anyway, let's have a look at what's gone off today. The first thing I had to do, I wanted to paint this shed, and the first thing I had to do was get rid of all the plants growing up this trellis, and I had to leave sufficient for them to grow again. And I had to try, although I've not made it successfully, not to get any paint on these plants. I think we're talking about winter jasmine and a couple more plants on there. I've forgotten what they are, but that's not the point. The point is, it took me 2 days to cut all this down. Now when I was younger it would probably be done in half a day, but what I decided to do was cut the stuff up small enough so that it's about 6 inches, if you're using that scale, so that it was small enough to go in the green waste, and I'll show you that in a minute. So yeah, it took me about 2 days to get rid of all that lot, and when I came to paint I realised I'd only got brown paint left. So you can see there's brown paint still showing where I couldn't get in with the brush properly, where I couldn't get in with the brush properly. And then I decided that green was far better than brown, because the thing about green in a garden is your eyes go past the colour. If it's a brown in the garden, your eyes tend to stick to that colour and not go through it. So when I'd done the brown, I went and bought some cuprinol, or any wood preserver you could buy, but I would say get the best you can. But a large tin was on special offer in, where are we now, June, July, August, yeah, back end of August, for £10, which would have done this shed probably twice over. So I decided to paint it green, and the first coat you could still see brown, and the second coat you could still see brown, so it's had 3 coats of green on top of the brown. And you might think that's extravagant, but this shed, which I did it in that way last time, is 16 years old, and it's not showing any signs of rot at all. Anyway, when I'd done that, I did the front side, and I found a little bit of woodworm, and I've coated this over the woodworm, and I think that will suffice. I don't know if you can see it right at the top there. Maybe just see it, I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that should kill it off. Now I reckon that it's going to take 2 years for all those plants to regain again and grow again, but they will come. Now the other thing was that the nest box we have on this shed, which blue tits have nested in for a good number of years now, I repaired it a couple of times, and the last time I just haven't got the wood to do it. But we saw this nest box in a garden centre, and it was priced fairly reasonable, I thought, for what it was. And this one has got an opening at the side for cleaning it out. Never had that before. I've never cleaned one out before, but this time we've got that facility. Lift that up and it opens it all up for cleaning out. The other thing is, it's specifically for blue tits, and it tells you the name there. I used to be able to remember all these names, being a bird watcher. And it has a certain size hole, so that only blue tits would get in and out of it. Wrens sometimes roost in these over winter. Now the other thing is, I've lowered this one because the other one was a bit higher, and the cats were getting on the roof there and trying to get the paws in the hole. Well, I'll not do it this time. But it is a little bit lower than my height, so I've got to be careful that I don't bang my head. Right, so that's that. Now, oh yeah, I should mention that instead of trying to fit this nest box from the inside of the shed, I've put a plate on the back, wooden plate there, screw that to the back and then screwed that into the shed, and that should hold it for a long time to come. So we do very well here with the blue tits, but we are plagued with cats, 5 cats, so I've had to make sure that they couldn't get into that nest box. Plus, I've had to make sure I didn't buy a nest box with a flat roof, because they sometimes sit on nest boxes, and it's certainly been sat on in the past. Now then, so that's that tip out of the way. And I did mention that the green waste from that all went in the green waste bin. You can see that some on the left there being cut up and fitted in nicely. What I have to do with this is I have to make sure that not too much goes in, because I'm concerned that the people who empty the bins, wonderful people actually taking all our rubbish away, would be hurting their backs, and I don't want that to happen. Now behind the shed you can see that it's not been done as yet. It might get done before the weather changes, but it's a long time since it's been painted and it's held fine. Just make sure you clean all this stuff off before you start painting. If you feel the need to sand it off, just do a rough sand job, but in the main just get the dirt off and then go work with the grain across like that where you can, where possible. Put 2 or 3 coats on, leave it a day between each coat if you can, if you've got that amount of time, or start very early in the morning, let it dry, and then do it late afternoon, not evening, because of the timing at this time of year. Anyway, here's a job that wants doing, and I can't get around to do it. And you can see that this fence work has, well, it's just rotted away. And what happens is that each neighbour is responsible for a section of fencing. Now this, when our neighbours put this up actually when they came in, and I gave them so much money towards it, and it's been up excuse me, must be about 15 years I would think. Now the back piece blew down last time. I've not had time to paint it, and I would like to get around to the other side and paint it if I can, but I'm not, the weather's been against me. So this has just rotted away because of lack of cuprin or wood preserver. Now the water butt, I've not had to use it, the water, because there's been that much rain. In fact, I've not had to use the garden tap. So the ivy, as you can see, is grown onto this fencing, and it's made a right mess of it, and I'm going to have to do something about that. I can't do it this year, because you can see all the fence work's rotten at the top. And also we've got these all sorts of things to winter over, bees and spiders and things like that. They've been in there quite a while, but we were told best not to use cuprin on them. As you can see, we're still cutting stuff back, nowhere to put it at the moment because the green bin is going to be too full, so we'll save that a week, and what we have to do then, we have to make sure that all the green waste has been cut off, like the tree at the back. I'll show you at the moment. It's all got to be cut down before the last of the green waste bin collection of the year, and everything now looks a mess actually, but we can't do much about it until all the leaves have gone off the trees, and that's what we're doing, waiting. This is kind of a Japanese rose, I think, and it looks as though it's all died off, and again with all the rain we've had, but I'm going to see how we go with that. I'm not going to cut it back too far and see if it'll come back again next year, because behind is a fence, and behind the fence is a public park, so we like to prevent people from climbing over there, and that's what it's done for really, and to help us to stop people climbing over, we've got blackberry bushes, and we leave those for the birds. No chemicals used, but you can see they've grown up there, and I have cut them back several times, and all this lot now looks as though it's going over. It all needs cutting back, and what surprised me is that we've got leaves that's come down very quickly this time, probably 2 or 3 weeks before they should. Now the buddleia over there has hardly produced any butterflies for us this time, and I will be cutting it back shortly. So the tips are to try and get everything done before the second week in October in the north of England, before the first of the frosts come. So I'm going to leave it there now.